had two economists on the show, Stanford economist Roger Knoll, and the person who wrote Soccernomics, probably the leading soccer economist in the world, Stefan Szymanski. And they're both, first of all, they seem to be a little bit concerned about the criteria, like having unrealistic levels for the criteria and trying to achieve standards through regulations and criteria rather than competition. And I hear a lot of dialogue about we need to get our house in order before we have promotion relegation. We need to get our house in order. We need to get the A League right before we have a second division. We need to get the clubs ready before we have a national second division. And Stefan Szymanski in particular were saying this is totally the wrong way around. A couple of quotes. First from Roger Knoll, he said, "Even if you had the best economists in Australia saying this is what you need to make a second division work, why would you make it a rule? If they can play in the higher division, let them. What's the harm?" And then, of course, we had and Stefan Szymanski. I was expecting to ask about the AIS and government funding because I wanted to ask him about the importance of government funding.
Yeah.
He actually said, no, promotion relegation is not a thing you get when you get a house in order. It is a thing to get your house in order. It is not a policy, it's the policy. So I'd recommend everyone to listen to that episode. Do we have things the wrong way around? Are we trying to wait for perfect conditions, get our house in order before we introduce things, rather than using promotion relegation and grassroots participation to...
Yeah. Look, interestingly, I've worked with lots of economists when I was at PwC. The one thing about economists is that they don't live in the real world. That's what economics does. It's a theory of best practice or sentiment. And I'm not being disrespectful to either of those colleagues, by the way, but the reality of where we are today, firstly on promotion and relegation, we've got a licensed system to the A-League clubs that doesn't provide for it until 2032. Is it around the Olympics Day? I think it's that sort of, it's still a few years away. So it just ain't going to happen earlier, right? You've got private, for better or for worse, we are in a system where the A-League clubs are owned by private interests who invest millions a year, and we need to respect the rules under which they entered the system. So we can't shortcut that and say promotion relegation is happening by royal fiat of FA, right? Like, you don't change the rules halfway on a journey. So that's the biggest impediment, and it's just a legal reality, sadly.